Well, we called it just yesterday, making a video that was titled Prince Andrew is Cancelled, and now we have the breaking news that disgraced, inbred, so-called blue blood royalty, Prince Andrew, just quit his, quote, royal duties. News that, of course, is a surprise to a lot of people, but in this video, we are going to be talking about why this actually happened, the new documents, evidence, witnesses coming forward, as well as the larger cover-up happening here, as, of course, the mainstream media tells you that there's nothing unusual here, nothing out of the ordinary. You know, because obviously there's nothing to worry about a government-run sex trafficking organization of children. Which again, as independent media, we're going to uncover the absolute bullcrap that statements like this and many others are. Why? Because unlike the mainstream media that has been actually running puff pieces, promoting and gloating about how amazing Jeffrey Epstein was for years, we were exposing him. And we were doing that because we have no strings attached to this media organization because we're financed by you and you only. Consider going to wearechange.org/donate to support our work and future operations like the one that we previously conducted on Jeffrey Epstein's private island. So yeah, wearechange.org/donate, wearechange.org/donate. Click on the link and get involved today. Now, I originally told myself that, okay, I've been talking about Prince Andrew, I've been talking about the Jeffrey Epstein case already for 2 days in a row. I was like, okay, time to change it up, but I can't. There's so many developments. This story's moving so fast. There's finally a window of opportunity to shed this important information that I cannot stop talking about this, as of course this latest news is huge. Since of course even in yesterday's videos we told you that many experts said that Prince Andrew would only be canceled under official royal duties if of course the Queen died. And now we're getting the news that the Queen's favorite son has officially quit his royal duties, that he is stepping aside. Of course, they're using the quote for the foreseeable future. In reality, this man absolutely has no future in public life unless he's going to be doing some kind of true crime novel behind jail bars, or if he absolutely exonerates himself by cooperating against the child trafficking organizations at play here. And other than that, if he still doesn't do either one of those things, there will be no public life for this individual. There's no going back to, of course, the exorbitant amount of lies that he spewed on national television, with even more information that we're going to get into at the end of this video, more information proving that he lied even more than we thought originally. Already, we made 2 videos about his lies. This is going to be a third one with more of them. Now, of course, the Queen is giving permission for Prince Andrew to step down. She's the one that officially gave the okay after negotiations with the BBC to let this interview take place. That started all of this. Now we have to understand here, what's happening here is a bigger PR play. Prince Andrew has hired the top of the top experts when it comes to public relations or media manipulation. And this is one reason we're seeing this official response, but the real reason it's happening, it's not happening because there is a supposed feeling of wrongdoing by the prince. This is not done because of some righteous actions. This is a direct response to the mounting evidence and actions that could take down the royal family. Now trust me, big powerful people don't just do the right thing out of nowhere. They do the right thing because they're forced to, because of the public pressure and mounting pressure against them. And there's a lot of things to consider here with this latest statement by Prince Andrew, which again is correlated with secret legal documents that are supposed to be unsealed by a decision from a U.S. judge by the end of this year. Documents that allegedly have explosive new allegations against Jeffrey Epstein that most likely implicate also Prince Andrew, that many witnesses now correlate him with. There's also other contradictory evidence coming out, like the previous chief of staff for the Duke coming out and saying that Prince Andrew knew Jeffrey Epstein all the way back to the early 1990s, which of course directly contradicts the statement that Prince Andrew made saying that he first met Jeffrey Epstein in 1999. And even with all the shadowy, secretive stuff surrounding these very elusive individuals, still, there's contradictory evidence proving their lies when they knew they had to be secretive and were covering up a lot of their bigger actions. So what really happened here is still widely unknown, and the bigger fact that cannot be ignored here is that we are being lied to. And because of that, and because of the mounting evidence and the witnesses and this potential document drop, there is a lot of pressure on the royal family, which, by the way, there's already referendums. There's already a big, I would say, pretty significant push to abolish them as the monarchy of their country, because, again, they're supposed to be a symbolic gesture of power, but in all reality, they wield a lot of power, especially with all the pedophiles that they are connected with that surprisingly face an extreme lack of consequences for whenever they get caught in their scandals. And this is one reason out of many why people do not support the royal family, and essentially why I believe Prince Andrew quit public life and his royal duties for the foreseeable future. And this is why, in my opinion, this actually did happen, because we finally have a window of opportunity to find out the bigger truth here. And trust me, this gets far bigger, far more sophisticated, far more complicated than we could imagine. And powerful players like Prince Andrew are only one player here, as of course the other significant party here with Ghislaine Maxwell, well, she's completely gone, and she's being compared right now to people who've known her as a, quote, James Bond character who, quote, will never be found. This, of course, information coming from Lady Victoria Hervey, who revealed this information on UK television, where she also described an intimate dinner she had with Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, and Donald Trump. Yes, imagine that scene. Imagine being a fly in the wall of Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Prince Andrew, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Jeffrey Epstein all sitting together at a little dinner party. As, of course, the government is refusing to take down Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring of children. And again, this is what we need to understand here. The federal authorities allowed this to happen for over a decade. I would even go as far as to say specifically aided and abetted, because they were directly involved in letting him go when the evidence clearly presented him as a child sex trafficker. The information was very evident. That information was there. It was impossible to ignore. Even people that I talked to around his island, all of them knew about it. The federal authorities let it slide. Police officers didn't do their job. Victims and children were abused in front of them. And now that very same institution, that very government that failed us, wants us to believe now that they're investigating this and that he definitely did somehow kill himself. And again, I'm sorry. I'm going to be skeptical as hell here, which we should be, because we're seeing two people that are essentially scapegoated here, and those are the prison guards that are being indicted on federal charges, including ones of conspiracy here. Meanwhile, Ghislaine Maxwell, well, no one knows where she is. Prince Andrew hasn't even been questioned. And very conveniently, not surprisingly, as we got the information from a top cop in Florida, every time there was a search warrant issued, every time federal authorities were going to raid his property, Jeffrey Epstein was tipped off. And evidence was moved, even from basic information collected from independent media, independent journalists that were flying drone. Again, there's a cover-up of a cover-up happening here, and this is why it's very, very important to be extremely skeptical of all the information, especially the one given to us by the federal authorities that, in my opinion, are throwing these prison guards under the bus. Because it's not these prison guards that organized a massive child trafficking organization here. They're not the ones who are more powerful than Jeffrey Epstein. And again, we're getting small tidbits finally coming out, as even USA Today pinned an article talking about how this saga could have ended years ago, as I've been saying, if prosecutors, if the federal authorities actually did their job and they didn't label children as prostitutes. Victims here were labeled prostitutes. And guess what? The victims and co-conspirators and the other powerful people involved here were absolved in a plea deal of a lifetime when he was supposed to be in jail for life. My goodness. Golly gracious. And it's and the level of significance here is just stunning. I mean, we have celebrities like Hilary Swank, Chris Tucker, John Kerry, Bill Richardson, Bill Clinton. So many of these individuals hanging out casually with this child trafficker, and yet again, they're all scot-free. They're all walking around like nothing happened here. Meanwhile, 2 prison guards are facing the jail sentence, and then we have these little sniffling goobers like this Ryan Riley, who calls himself a reporter for Huffington Post, saying that, yeah, there's nothing out of the ordinary about what happened to Mr. Epstein. There's no reason to resort to, quote, bizarre conspiracy theories, because suicide prevention in most prisons and jails is a joke. And oh my God, the level of smugness and ignorance is aggravating. Because if this goober, if this pudge, fat roll of a being actually did a little bit of his research, he would understand that this is the top. This is the best federal jail facility according to many standards, where suicides just don't happen. The last suicide that happened at that facility happened over 40 years ago with a mafioso type, which also a lot of people point to foul play. Ever since then, with the basic procedures that should have been followed, there should have not been a suicide. But there was, with the man that had dirt on all the powerful politicians that he surrounded himself with. And then Mr. Ryan J. Riley here of the Huffington Post thinks there's nothing wrong here when, the cameras malfunction, the guards fall asleep at the same time, Jeffrey Epstein is taken off suicide watch after allegedly just trying to commit suicide. His cellmate is kicked out of his cell, who, by the way, is saying he's afraid for his life, with what he personally knows. As, of course, the federal authorities covered all of this up and a lot more. And Mr. Ryan Riley here was like, oh, no, God doesn't sit here. Bizarre conspiracy theories. There's nothing out of the ordinary here, guys. I'll bet you $10 he speaks with a lisp. Sorry, I apologize. I'm professional, yes. It's aggravating. It's absolutely aggravating, the level of discontent that the people who purport themselves as journalists have in this. All it takes is a little bit of research, a little bit of work. I'm not a genius. I'm not a smart person that is far beyond an intellect than anybody else, but I was reporting on this before anyone else, and it didn't take a freaking crazy intelligent person to figure this story out. It was all out there for the public to see. All you have to do is do your job and collect the information, look at the sources, and report it. But predominant, large factions of the mainstream media failed to do so. And guess what? They are still failing us right now. Now again, moving forward, we're going to see Prince Andrew most likely from here totally hide from public life, not make any public appearances. And even though he does say that he pledges to help a police inquiry, I highly, highly doubt that that will happen, since of course it will only implicate him even more. There's even more information contradicting his original interview that he did with the BBC, with gasps in his itinerary for the 2001 charity trip that he talked about, that of course he supposedly never met Virginia Roberts with. And again, all this information is finally coming to light because people finally feel safe to be able to speak about this, finally feel safe to come forward, finally feel safe to provide evidence for the public to see themselves, for the public to finally see the truth. And that is because our cohesive voice demands it. And if it wasn't for our voice, if it wasn't people demanding this, if it wasn't for independent media, the large swaths of this would never, ever get out. Again, there's a lot of big money and big power here, and they don't succumb to very little pressure. You need an overwhelming amount of pressure to get these guys to crack. Cracks are finally breaking on this trafficking organization tied to, of course, intelligence agencies that were running an extortion racket on some of the most powerful people in our society. There's pinhole cameras, there's ties to the CIA, to the Mossad, to even Russian intelligence. And trust me, what we know so far is only just a small, significant portion, with many people in public life even saying, let's hope that this is as bad as it gets. And no. It gets far worse than we could ever imagine, and you shouldn't have any sympathy for these individuals that have been aiding and abetting the worst actions that anyone could commit on this planet. What kind of bastardized, idiotic statement is that by this op-ed writing nincompoop? Because obviously, this gets a lot worse because we only know a small portion of it, and guess what? We deserve all of it. If you agree with me, share this video, because obviously, YouTube won't. All of our videos are put up for review. All of our videos are downranked. All of our videos are again, just absolutely screwed in, of course, direct exchange of support for the mainstream media that YouTube is prioritizing, that is running the massive cover-up here, that is telling you nothing out of the ordinary, nothing to worry about here, just go away, go watch your stupid American Idol, eat your damn GMO Monsanto hamburgers, and everything's fine, America. And guess what? It is not. I'm riled up, I'm fired up. We finally have the chance and opportunity to get the truth. Let's make sure we do our best to push for it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org. Love ya.